Hello, once again, people of Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Coming to you again from my office to say hello and to talk about a few things here today. We're going to talk about a little bit about what's going on in the parish. We have some maintenance things that we're in the middle of. And so I just want to let you know what's going on because I'm sure this will be welcome changes for many people. I've noticed since I've come here, especially since we've been back in the church, that some of the sound system in the church is a little subpar. So I have a sound tech who owns his own company, and he's going to come in, and I'm getting together with some people from the parish, and we're going to meet him and go over all these things so that hopefully we can get the sound up to speed and so that everybody can hear equally no matter where you are in the church. And also, too, one of the things we're going to talk about, too, is getting permanent AV equipment for our live streaming. We have somebody who has been very gracious and very generous in using his own personal equipment up to this point. And so we want to get permanent equipment that belongs to the parish so that even though this person has been very generous, and we thank him for everything that he's done for us, that I don't want anything to happen to his stuff. I don't want it, when you get a lot of hands using different things, you never know what could happen. So I don't want any of his stuff to get broken, or heaven forbid somebody breaks into the church or whatever else and steals his equipment. Don't want that to happen. So we're going to put some permanent equipment in the church. Are two of the things that we're looking at. And one other thing that we're going to be doing is the Knights have taken on a project of they're going to power wash and repaint the cement planters that are in the parking lot, because that was one thing that was brought to my attention where one of the Knights came to me and said, hey, since when we were outside and things were on camera outside, I took notice of this, and it'd be a good project for us to clean these off and paint them again so that things look wonderful and nice as they should at the parish. And so those are two of the projects that we have going on right now. And so they're small projects in the grand scheme of things, I understand. There's other things that are going on a regular basis around here. But those are just two new things that have come up that I just wanted to keep you all abreast of. And maybe last week, I should say, you probably noticed that we have started our bulletin once again. And we're going to be on that on the regular here. And so there will be copies of the bulletin that will be by the exits. The only thing that we do ask is that if you want a bulletin, pick one up and take it with you. So that way, we don't go through them and then put them back, because we want to keep the people touching them to a minimum. And so therefore, just, pick it up, take it with you, and that'll tell you about the happenings in the parish, as well as having links to various, or I should say, websites to various important things that are coming up. And also, too, that will also be online as well. And so we'll be having our online bulletin so that people can read that should they not be able to be here to receive an actual paper bulletin. And also, too, hopefully they'll be done with this sooner rather than later. We're going to be looking at going through our website and making it a little more modern and keeping it up to date. Because if we look at the web, those of you who do look at the website, will probably notice that it's been a little while since things have been updated on there. And so we're going to get with the people that run the website, and we're going to get that hopefully squared away soon so that we have current information up there. And the most current information, I made the mistake this morning of watching the news. I was watching the local news, and they were talking about how the COVID numbers, because of a certain area in our county, have gone up a little bit. And so there was talk about, is there going to be another shutdown? Is there not? What are we going to do? So we really hope and pray that there's not going to be another shutdown, that we can remain in the church where we belong. And so keep that in your prayers, that we remain in the church. If we do have to go back outside, thank God we still have our sound equipment outside. We still have the platform that so many people generously provided, not only man hours but supplies, so that we can have that. So we do have the means to celebrate Mass outside. However, We want to be back in the church where we belong. So keep that in your prayers, that in this time that may happen. You see, because as a community of believers, and as we gather together as church, we know that we do what we do not because of out of some sense of duty that we think we have, or hopefully our motivation is, I better do this so I don't face the consequences of not doing it. And so hopefully that's not our motivation. That our motivation is to further our love for God and our love for one another. And that's exactly what today's readings at Mass were all about. We have our first reading, which was from St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians. And it's a very famous reading that is oftentimes used at weddings because it talks about love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not jealous. And we all have probably heard this more than once in our lives, whether it be at a wedding or whether it be during Mass. It's a very popular reading. But in there, there's one thing that really sticks out to me, and that all things we are to do with love. And if we do not do them with love, what does that gain us? And when I was thinking about all this, I was remembering something that happened, probably about 20 years ago now. I went to an event, and you guys hopefully all remember Tony Gwynn. God rest his soul. Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn himself. And he was at an event with he and a couple of their athletes were there signing autographs and greeting fans. And after about an hour or two, or however long it was, a lot of the guys that were there to sign autographs and whatnot were getting up and getting ready to leave. And I can remember I happened to be there, and somebody happened to ask Tony Gwynn, "Are you going to be leaving soon too?" To which Tony Gwynn said, his response to this man was, "Hey, I remember what it was like when I was a kid. I remember what it was like before I became a baseball player, or a major league baseball player. That if I had the opportunity to meet and shake hands with a player that I really liked and I really loved, I would have enjoyed that fully." And so Tony sat back down and he stayed. And he stayed for probably the next 6 hours, signing autographs, signing jerseys that people brought, shaking hands, taking pictures. And in that, what sort of encompasses what today's readings were about, that all things we do, we are to do with great love. And that might not seem to many as something as a big deal to a lot of people. But to me, it was very encompassing of what today's readings were all about. You see, because he could have very easily, with everybody else, got up and walked away, and nobody would have blamed him. Time's up, Tony's got to leave, and he's leaving with the others. But no, he decided that, look, these are the fans who love the Padres. And so they want to meet one of the Padres players, who, in this case, was him. And we all know that Tony Gwynn, he's Mr. Padre, the greatest Padre of all time. And of all the wonderful accomplishments that he's made on the field, of all the batting titles that he won, the career that he had, going down in history as one of the greatest players of all time. To me, this really shows, this was what separates him from the rest. That all these accomplishments, all these things that he had done that made him, in a worldly sense, on this great level, this level of greatness to which everybody said he is so great. That what separated him and what took him to the next level, if you want to say, was something that many people may not think was that big of a deal. But it was a big deal. The fact that he chose to stay and spend time with people, to shake hands, to take pictures, to meet the people who came to see not only him, but like I said, of all the greatness that he exuded on the field, one of the things that took him to that next level, that made him not only a great player, but a wonderful human being, was the fact that he was grateful for everything that he had. He was grateful to the fans and for their appreciation, and that he showed that by staying 5, 6 hours that day. And he's done this on many occasions from what I understand. And so I use him as an example of today's readings in that, yes, like I said, he could have very easily left with everybody else and nobody would have blamed him. And he'd still be known as a great baseball player. But what makes him a great human being is the fact that he has appreciation and he showed love for his fans on that particular day in that instance. And you see, that's what things like that, like I said, that one instance may not seem like a big deal to a lot of us, but really, those things with love that we do, that is what separates the Christian life from the non-Christian life. We remember St. Therese of Lisieux and what she talked about as being that little way. You do little things with great love. That is what makes the Christian life. So in that, we can all probably look in our own lives at those seemingly things that we oftentimes overlook, things that in the grand spectrum might seem meaningless, that if we do those things, those little things with great love, that is what gains us the favor of God and brings us closer to God and closer to one another. Because in all those things, we choose to show love. We choose to gather people to us. And so, much like, as I said, much like, as we say, Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn, in this, for him, in him showing great love to the fans of the Padres and to the people that showed up that day, by doing something very simple, staying a few extra hours so that he could sign autographs, shake hands, and meet the people. He showed great love in doing that. And in doing that, that is an example for all of us, that those things that we do are to be done little things with great love, as Saint Therese of Lisieux teaches us. And so, like I said, we can consider that. And maybe our challenge for this week is to do an inventory of self. And we look at ourselves and we look at all the little things around us, those times around us when we can show great love. You see, because things that we oftentimes might not think are that big of a deal might really mean the world to somebody else. The simple things like saying hello, smiling at somebody, spending that few extra minutes with somebody when you have the opportunity, when maybe you're tired already and you probably really rather would go home. Taking that extra few minutes to spend some time with people. Just little things like that, those little things, but we do them with great love. That is the essence of the reading that we had today of St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians. Do those little things with great love. Follow the example of St. Therese of Lisieux and follow the example of Mr. Padre himself, Tony Gwynn, who in that moment chose to show his thankfulness and chose to show gratitude. And that's what we do in the entirety of our life. So I hope you all have a great week. Keep your prayers up, because I know many of you, like myself, have been watching the news lately. And so keep your prayers up that we can stay inside the church where we belong. Keep those prayers up, and I hope to see you all Sunday at Mass. Hope you all are having a great day. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon. God bless you all.